What's good? What's good, y'all? Your boy Justin Henry here, live Justin Henry show, J Hen Fantasy. Y'all already know what it is, man. Y'all hit the like button, man. Show some love if you're here for the first time. Don't make it the last time. Sub to the page, baby. Listen, week 8 is here. We had some injuries I want to talk about. Mainly, I want to make sure if you guys got questions, I could go ahead and answer some of those questions. Hopefully, the connection is good here. I'm here in Spain right now, so obviously, like you guys know, ain't been as around and available. But I want to make sure if you guys do have questions right now, I can go ahead and get to them. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with me in the chat, man. I know the timing hasn't been consistent, right? We've done it early, we've done it late, but if you guys got trade questions, overall strategy questions, man, just let me know. All right. What's good, Dale? Appreciate you tapping in, bro. Finnegan, what's popping? What's popping? Tron Force, what's good? What's good? Frankie, what's good, my man? Yes, sir. Stream looks good. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, this is literally where I'm staying right now. We're staying at a nice place, so I'll do an outdoor stream one of these days. It's just nighttime right now. I just finished doing a Bleacher Report stream. So if you want to see the full video, actually, I'll just drop the list for y'all, so that way you don't have to do the full video. But I went over a few names that I liked to pick up. So the first one I talked about was Brashard Smith. That's more of a long-term, like 14-team, 16-team pickup. I think in 12-team leagues, if I was looking for just didn't have any running back play, I think Brashard Smith is a decent pickup. And Dale kind of mentioned that here. Said, is he worth the waiver pickup? I think if I needed if I just didn't have good running back play, he's somebody I wouldn't want to leave on waivers, right? Like if Kyle Monungai was gone, Tajay Spears was gone, then yeah, I think Brashard Smith's worth a look. He did get a lot of his production in garbage time. So unfortunately, that's the case. But Kareem Hunt also did suffer an ankle injury. So just depending on if he's out for a long time, if he's out for 2 to 4 weeks, that gives Brashard Smith now an opportunity to step into a bigger workload. So I think Brashard Smith, he could be a pickup. He's not a recommended pickup unless you're in a deeper league or if you're just really thin at the running back position. Another player I talked about, Xavier Legette. So Xavier Legette also needs to be picked up. Had 9 catches, 11 targets, like the numbers you want to see. Had a touchdown from Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is also going to be out for a couple weeks now. So Andy Dalton steps up, who's a little bit more of a willing passer than Bryce Young is, like he'll pass it deep. And when Dalton came in the fourth quarter, he was force feeding Xavier Legette. So that's the kind of player I would pick up. I'd pick up Xavier Legette. And I mean, just with all the teams on bye this week, I mean, Seattle's on bye, Arizona, the Rams, like there's a lot of teams on bye. I think Xavier Legette is worth a start this week at the flex spot if you need him, if you absolutely need him. So I'll be trying to pick him up. I wouldn't blow, a crazy amount of waiver, but I do think he has a volatile type of role that he could play for our fantasy teams. Prabat also talked about Rondé Gadsden. I think at tight end, this is a decent pickup. I know Trey McBride is on whatchamacallit this week, is on a bye this week. Sam Laporta is on a bye this week. Brock Bowers is on a bye this week. Obviously, he's been hurt anyway. But I think Rondé Gadsden has a little bit of upside here, especially with Hampton gone. He's just another option for that team, for the Chargers, in the receiving game, especially in the red zone. Like I think a lot of stuff was being funneled to Quentin Johnston. And so now it just gives them another pivot point in the red zone to throw to. So I think Gadsden, he's not like a priority pickup, but an option. And then if you lost Mike Evans, obviously Tez Johnson is another pickup you can make as well. What up, Jay? Abreu, what's good, man? Listen, I want to be on here for a little bit. I'm going to try to go through the questions. I know they're coming in quick. So let me get to these questions. That way, and if you guys got strategy questions too, like what to do if you're 2-4 or 2-5, or if you're 3-4, or if you have a winning record, like drop those in the chat too so I can get to those. All right. Jayhan, what's good, Keaton? I sent Daniel Jones for Caleb last week and forgot it was up. He accepted it after this week. Am I okay? I think you're all right. Caleb will be better. I think just Daniel Jones is a rock solid QB2, like high-end QB2, back-end QB1. I mean, Daniel Jones has had a resurgence. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think Caleb will have better days. He's just super inconsistent, whereas I think Daniel Jones is the epitome of consistent, especially with the offensive weapons that the Colts have. Texas T, what's good? You said, hello, world traveler, excuse me. Hope you're doing well and having fun. We are having an incredible amount of fun. And I'm not trying to like gloat or brag or anything. We've been in Spain now for 4 days. We finished up 17 days in Portugal, and it was an incredible experience. So we are going downtown to Seville. We are in the city of Seville right now. and Sevilla, I think they call it. So yeah, we're going to be just doing some exploring this week. And so like I said, I know I wanted to do way more. It's just when you out here and experiencing this shit, it's like, man, I gotta experience it, man. So yes, having a lot of fun. Family's having a lot of fun, and I'm still gonna do the lives and everything too, and try to be on, but just not as much as I hoped. I wanted to do way more, but when you get out here, you're like, nah, this shit's different, man. 5-2 lost last night by 2.3 points because Nico got injured. Texans offense looks horrible. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this Texans offense, especially if Nico's out with the concussion next week. It's ugly. But 5-2, you're in good space right now. So a lot of teams have buys this week. So you could probably finesse your way to a win or at least be competitive if you're hurting right now at specific positions. And if you're 5-2, like this is the time now to kind of take on some of those assets that have been a little bit more disappointing, right? So you go and you look at a Chase Brown who's starting to catch a little steam, but it's like, we don't know. I think you could get Chase Brown for next to nothing. I think Brian Thomas, a lot of people are disappointed with him. It looks bad. And you see Travis Hunter kind of take over. You could probably afford to take on a Brian Thomas at a lesser rate. Brock Bowers has been hurt. He's on a bye this week. There might be a team that has Brock Bowers that's 3-4 and kind of looking to like pivot off of Brock Bowers or trade him for more. Like Terry McLaurin's another name like you could probably buy low on. Derrick Henry is another name you could buy low on. So if I'm 5-2, I'm positioning right now. 5-2, 6-1, 7-0. I'm positioning right now, especially if I feel like I have a good chance to win this week 8 matchup. You're probably looking at 6-2. You have a good record here. So now is the time, I think, to start acquiring assets that can help you in the future. If you're 6-1, 7-0, I think you start looking even further ahead, maybe start looking at ideal trade targets with good fantasy playoff matchups. But if you're 5-2, 4-3, I think you have a little bit of wiggle room here to kind of make a play on some of those names that have fallen and probably some of those teams that are 2-5 and 3-4 that are wondering, like, what do I do with some of these options? It's not the time to go get Chuba Hubbard or Rico Dowdle. Like, that's not what I'm saying when you're 5-2. It's not time to get those kind of players. What it is time to do is it's time to load up on those secondary options that have disappointed people right now, especially if you can get them at a good price. So I get it, man. When it comes to, like, you had Nico there, but you're 5-2. You're in a really good space. Is Fields done? Yeah. I mean, you can't make it on the Jets right now. Unless Tyrod gets hurt or Tyrod plays like shit. And especially after the comments that Woody Johnson made, to say you got to complete passes, that's just completely throwing your quarterback under the bus. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that at all, man. But you got to play better, and this is the owner's league. So I think for Justin Fields, hopefully it's not the end of Justin Fields in his career. I do think he needed to play better in order to maintain the role. But when really all you have is Garrett Wilson as your weapon, I don't know. I just expected he didn't have – there were some games where he looked okay. It's just – I don't know. After that first game, it was like we never really saw that Justin Fields again. I got Vidal and Brees as my RB, so I'll take Rashad. Yeah, if you need a running back, just – he's probably one of the few out there you can pick up. Just don't overly spend on him. It's going to be a very thin waiver wire, and there's not a whole lot of like truly productive names that are going to come in there and like impact your team. The one name, like I said, the one name that I think could be in starting lineups next week is Xavier Legette. Now racked up two consecutive wins, sitting at 2-5. What am I doing? See, look at you. Dak, JCM, you got JT, Kamara, Mason, Knight, CD, Tet, Ladd, Wandale, Auden, Ertz, and Hawkinson. Trying to get rid of one of the tight ends, probably a Hawk. If you can, yeah, Hawkinson, I think, or Zach Ertz, either one of those, especially with Jaden Daniels potentially missing some time. And you could pair that up with like a Jordan Mason because Aaron Jones is on his way back, Bam Knight. At some point, Trey Benson's going to come out. So you already have 3 solid running backs. It's good for you. Kamara now gets a bump up with Kendre Miller being out. So I think your running back situation is straight. If you got Bam Knight and you got Jordan Mason, pair that up with one of those tight ends, and now you're talking about a bump out receiver, Like you could probably do some damage to a team that needs – there's a lot of teams that need running backs right now. There's some teams that need tight ends right now. So I think you're in probably a better spot than you think. You got CD back now. Let's see what you can get cooking, Finnegan. Let's go. Subject, I'm not going to be able to stay on, but we'll watch later. Appreciate you, man. No, it's all good, bro. I ain't been. If you got to find another source for your fantasy info, at least for some of the time, I have no, like, I can't fault you. So hopefully you can come back and watch. And, I'm still on my shit. I sat here and watched every game. It's funny because out here in Spain, the game came on, like the Niner game came on. It was 2:30 in the morning. I had to stay up and watch that shit, bro. 2:30 in the morning. I was watching the Seahawks game yesterday at 5 o'clock this morning. I was watching the Seahawks game. So, yeah, man, it's and I fell asleep. I fell asleep after the first half. So, yeah, it's if you got, like I said, I'm still locked in, but I understand if you got, you got work and shit. I haven't been the consistent schedule, but appreciate you tapping in. Pick 2, Kamara, Pollard, Henderson, Marks, or Spears. Kamara, Pollard, Henderson, Marks. I think for sure it's Kamara has to be on there. And I think Pollard and Spears is an interesting dynamic because it feels like Spears is probably going to take a bigger workload here soon, very soon. You can kind of sense it. Henderson, he would probably be fourth in that. But I think for right now, until Pollard loses the job, you got to play him. For sure, Kamara. Then next to the Pollard or Spears, probably Spears. I think that's more upside later on. Pickings are slim on the waiver with JD5 likely missing this week. Who's a better play at quarterback? Flacco versus the Jets, and Rodgers versus the Packers, or Mariota versus KC. Now, I think that Mariota versus KC is interesting. It could be like an up and down game, especially if the scoring goes crazy for the Kansas City Chiefs. But is Terry McLaurin back? Is Debo back? Because if those two aren't back, you can't play Mariota, even no matter how much he's using his legs. That Commanders offense is going to struggle. So it really comes down to Flacco or Rodgers. And I think Rodgers in a revenge game versus the Packers needs to go in your lineup. So I would play Rodgers, then Flacco, then Mariota. I'm not mad, though, if you go with Flacco. Like, I'm not mad. I just think that Jets defense – I think the Packers defense is really good, too. But I think that Jets defense is good. And, I will go Rodgers here with the way he's playing. And like I said, just a revenge game narrative. I think Flacco got a little revenge game narrative as well. Kraft or Warren rest of the season? Kraft or Warren rest of the season? I think it's Tyler Warren for me. Kraft is just there's going to be too many weapons. Once Christian Watson's all the way back, Jaden Reed's going to come back at some point. Too many weapons in Green Bay. I think it's Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren. Flex Worthy or Jefferson and Fulby. Are we Worthy or Jefferson? Justin Jefferson? No, for me, it's Justin Jefferson 1,000%, even with Wentz starting on a short week. I'm going Jefferson. Worthy, I think Worthy's going to have some big games, and he could have a big game this week. I'm not saying that, but I think Justin Jefferson is just such more of a floor play, and Worthy's going to be more up and down, especially with Rashee Rice back. He's looking the part, and he's back. I mean, he's got to be in consideration for like top 5 to 7 receiver right now. I don't know that I don't know. Rashee Rice is a tough player for me because I kind of feel like he's more top 12-ish than like top 5 to 7-ish. But when you come back and you score 2 touchdowns like that and the team is feeding you, he is who he is. So I think Worthy definitely takes a step back. It's Justin Jefferson for me over Worthy. Is Kittle still a starter? Should I play Kincaid? Kincaid has to be healthy, obviously coming out of the bye. But I think Kittle is the start over Kincaid. The one thing you want to see is Kittle be more involved in the offense. But I still go Kittle over Kincaid. But Kincaid has just been so rock solid that if you played him this week against Carolina, I'm not mad at you. What's your thoughts on buying Aaron Jones since I have Mason? I don't like having both backs, but it's not the end of the world. I think they kind of reminds me of like Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. They both, until we see one of them become the starter, it's like they're both kind of RB3, back-end RB2s, So I think you could buy Aaron Jones. It's just for what cost? Like the person that has Aaron Jones would have to be willing to part with him after holding him on IR for a significant amount of time. So I do like buying Aaron Jones as like a low-cost running back with the position struggling so much this year. I do like getting Aaron Jones, who could be like, even before he got hurt, he was being utilized. So I know everybody wanted to put Jordan Mason in that like high-end RB2, back-end RB1 spot, and we see like you got to play the games, and there's a reason why the team started Aaron Jones over Jordan Mason coming into the season. And I think they do work better in a platoon in a 1A, 1B situation. So I think Aaron Jones is a good buy right now, and you might be able to just kind of get him as a throw-in, as a secondary piece in a deal. So, yes, I would be buying Aaron Jones. I don't know, just because you have Mason isn't the right reason, but if you're struggling at running back or maybe you want to balance things out in case Mason does take a much more secondary role than we think, then yeah, I would buy Aaron Jones. One league, you got Devontae on a buy, Olave's wide receiver 2. Is Dobbs worth the start, or should I look for Leggett or Wanda? No, go ahead and start Dobbs. Start Dobbs. I think starting Dobbs, better offense. I think starting Dobbs is worth it. Teddy, what's good, bro? What's good with you, fam? Someone drop Ridley. Would you drop Cup for Ridley in a bench piece? Yeah, Cup's going on a bye. Only had one catch last week. And Ridley, not an inspiring piece, but if he comes back this week, at least should be, he'll get you something. So, yeah, I think Cup isn't a must hold by any means. Cup isn't a must hold by any means. 2-5 after an insane game. You got Bijan, JT as my running backs, 2-5. Looking to make a playoff push, but Devontae on a bye hurts. Yeah, it is tough when you have, an elite player, especially with Puka being out and the way Devontae just had that game. You did have a crazy week. Bijan, JT, and Devontae, sheesh. But yeah, look, at least you're feeling confident 2-5. You have good running back play. So all you need to do really is just sustain this week. And the other team you're playing, chances are right now, if you look at your team and you're like, man, I got a lot of buys this week, especially missing a player like Devontae. There's somebody else out there missing JSN. There's somebody out there missing Trey McBride. Like everybody is going to have holes on their roster by apocalypse. So it's just a matter of like, can you find good fill-ins to support the rest of your team, right? Like there's a lot of superstar players that are going to be missing this week. So I think if you can piece together the right players, and this is why I always say it's so important to have like a good bench when you draft. Like a lot of people will draft their entire starting lineup and then forget about times like this and then be 2-5 or 3-4 and have significant holes. You do have to be able to make it through bye weeks. So hopefully you have a good enough bench there with your 2-5 team, and you could be 3-5 next week with a whole different energy to you than you probably had after last week. Gatson, Schultz, Kincaid, Otten this week. Gatson, Schultz, Kincaid, Otten this week. I haven't looked at all the matchups. I've looked at some of them. I've got to see Kincaid, make sure he's available for this week. Definitely not starting Dalton Schultz. Aronde Gatson is a maybe. Cade Otten is up there right now. So probably be right now, if I had to just guesstimate, it'd be Kincaid if he plays. Kincaid, Otten, then Gatson, then Schultz. That's how I got it. Jealous with those Instagram stories. That boat ride you did look fun. Man, it was incredible. We went to like these caves in Portugal, and it was so fun, man. The ship, the captain of the boat was cool, man, cool as hell. And like, we've been having a lot of fun, man. So I'm not trying to make nobody jealous. Literally, a lot of people ask me to share what I'm doing because I could just, I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm the kind of person that could just go ghost and not post anything. So sometimes I do that for like people that follow or ask me questions, want to know what we're doing, stay updated on the trip. That's what that's for. And it'll look like trying to make you jealous, but it absolutely definitely is not that. It's more so like just sharing the journey, man, and having a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. And like I said, Spain should be very fun, and I'm gonna keep posting stuff, keep posting stories. But yeah, it was fun, man. Definitely fun. Superflex, Lawrence, Penix, Fields. Do I pick up Dalton or Flacco? Kirk. And drop Fields and Penix. Kirk. I don't know what you mean by Kirk. Christian Kirk, didn't he? I think he's out, isn't he? I think for Fields, you definitely need to have an option. Fields is not coming back. I would go Flacco. Flacco is the pickup I'd make. Longer term, that way. And I think I would just keep Penix. I wouldn't drop Penix, but I would keep Penix personally. But if you want to drop him, then you're going Dalton. That's fine. But I would go Flacco, keep Penix, and keep Trevor Lawrence. Appreciate you helping us out while on vacation. Absolutely, man. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me. You know what I'm saying? This community, like y'all be supporting me even when, I'm not on. And so thank you for tapping. Hopefully the posts have been enough, and me coming on and answering questions has at least been able to subside for everything. And I don't know, like I said, I'm trying to get a more consistent schedule now that I'm actually in a place. I'll be in Spain here for the next 30 days in this location. So hopefully I can get on some kind of semi-consistent schedule to help you guys out. So hopefully my goal would be on Thursday to get another stream in at some point, maybe around this time, like a little earlier than this, maybe like 2 hours, 3 hours earlier than this. But that's my goal, is to get you guys another one on Thursday before the games. My goal. I ain't promising nothing no more. I'm 3-4. My main pieces are Josh Allen, Gibbs, Bijan, Odunze, Tyler Warren. Any advice on what I should do with the rest of my team is mid. Nah, I think stay the course here. Josh Allen's had his bye. Bijan's had his bye. Odunze's had his bye. You got elite with Gibbs and Tyler Warren. I think you're good. You need to just stay aggressive on the waiver wire. Maybe pair up some of the pieces on your bench to try to go get like somebody that everybody else is giving up on. I don't have the exact name in my head right now. I went over a few earlier, like Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, Saquon, Brian Thomas. Like you see what happened with A.J. Brown last week. It's like everybody gives up on players and says they're trash or they're, a bust. But there's a lot of value in players, and players are still playing for contracts. They're playing for money. They're playing for, their stats, their legacies. And so I think a lot of people will look at a slow start and equate that to this player is not good this year. And that's often not the case. A lot of times people with slow starts end up having a stretch that's like a red hot stretch, which is probably we're going to see from like an A.J. Brown. At some point, we're going to see that from a Brian Thomas. From the talent, from the real talented players, we see these hot stretches, and sometimes we do see lulls. So for me, I ain't overly concerned about your team right now, but I would be trying to buy players that have like kind of struggled so far this season. Cody, what's good, my man? You said, what up, Jayhan? Hope you've been doing well. I have, man. Been doing great. Thoughts on buying low on Bucky? Another name you could buy low on. The only thing is you probably won't see him until after the bye in week 9. I'm 5-2. My running backs are Kyron, Walker, Rico. Yeah, Rico, Vidal, and Marks. I think you could do that. Pair up 2 of those guys, not named Kyron, and go get Bucky. I think that's a great move right there. Bucky Irving, another name you could buy low on. Is Garrett Wilson cooked the rest of the season? I think the upside's cooked, but Garrett Wilson's the only receiver. He still, until he got hurt, was a top 10 receiver, even with Justin Fields passing for 56 yards, so I think Garrett Wilson is fine, more so than Cook. I think he's still at least a wide receiver too, at least. Brian Thomas Jr. and Hunter thoughts. I thought Hunter getting involved is actually going to help Brian Thomas, and it sucks to see him struggle the way he has, but I think this will help out I think this will help out Brian Thomas in the long term, and I do think Travis Hunter is going to get going. So if I had Travis Hunter, I would not be treating it as like to see him get open and to see him catch the touchdown. It's like the kid is going to gain confidence at some point. And it feels like that's starting to happen right now. And, the same thing's going to happen for Brian Thomas, who was dealing with some injuries earlier in the season. So it's like the new offense, injuries, new roles, like things will change for both of these players. And I think Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, like I've been kind of gassing them for the last, however many weeks of the season so far. But we talked about red hot players. When Trevor Lawrence is on, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He's a top 15 type-ish guy. He has a lot of upside. And that goes directly to Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Even though Brian Thomas, I feel like he can't catch no more, it goes directly to those guys. So as long as they continue to get Travis Hunter more involved, and I think the more they get him involved, it's going to help out both of these receivers, going to help this offense out. I think they got to continue to get Travis Hunter involved, even though it didn't result in a whole lot of points. I just dropped Henderson and added Trey Benson. Other running backs are Warren, Judkins, Vidal, Dowdle, and Hampton on IR. I mean, I'm not mad at that. I just don't know what role Trey Benson has and if it's a clear lead back role. But having 4 running backs on that roster is not good in general with him, Bam Knight, Michael Carter, and Amari DiMercado. I'm sure one of those guys will get cut, but I ain't really interested in that backfield at all, even if it's Trey Benson. But, yeah, I mean, Travion Henderson at some point, maybe he catches on. It's just tough to wait on that and continue to want to start him. So if you drop him, it's not the end of the world to me. I wouldn't drop him. I keep him on the bench just in case some shit pops off, but I'm not mad if you do. 4 and 3, would you do Moore and Olave for Nico and Benson? DJ Moore and Olave for Nico. I would rather have Nico. Just give me Nico. Even with the concussion this week, even if you're 4 and 3, just keep Nico. I'd keep Nico. I would not do that. I wouldn't pair down. I would keep Nico. Bourne, Kayshon Boutte, worthy pick 2. Depends on if Ricky Pearsall's back, if Brock Purdy's back. I'll have a better answer for you on Thursday. Probably go Worthy and Kayshon Boutte, but I'll have a better answer for you on Thursday. Worthy for sure. Trying to move K9, need a wide receiver 2 bad. Sent K9 Bowers, more Mixon for Odunze and Hampton. He's thinking about it. He needs an RB2 because he lost Hampton. I think it's a great deal. If you can move off of that, basically Bowers for Odunze. The rest of it's kind of ass. Hampton, you get Hampton later in the year if you really need it. I don't think this is a bad move. It's a lot to give up for Rome, though. I think you could probably do better on Rome price-wise, but it's not the end of the world. Like, you ain't really giving up anything. K9's too tough to trust. Mixon, who knows if he comes back. DJ Moore is mediocre. And then you got Brock Bowers. This really comes down to like Bowers for Odunze. I think you're giving up a lot here, but to get Odunze, I ain't mad at you. I feel like you could do better, but it's not a bad deal. I feel like you could do much better. It's not the end of the world, though. Like, in a vacuum, depending on what the lineup looks like, I could see myself doing this year. I would definitely be asking for another piece, though. Something else in the back end. Even if it was a small upside piece, I would ask for just a little bit more if you had to do this, but I don't know. It's not too bad. I don't think it's end of the world type shit to go get Odunze. I think Odunze is a good buy low candidate after 3 bad weeks. Odunze is a player I would go get. Like, I think Rome Odunze had a really hot start, and a lot of people aren't going to know how to judge it. They're going to say, well, is he more of the first 4 games Rome or the first 3 games Rome, more of the last 3 games Rome, like fantasy output wise. And I just think that Rome is one of those players, like, when we look back at this season, we're going to talk about, oh, shit, he had that stretch where he looks like the guy again. Like, it's going to happen. So I think if you can capitalize buy low right now, wise, on a guy like Rome Odunze, he's the perfect person to go target in trades. Kind of reminds me of, like, how A.J. Brown was before the 2-touchdown game. You can't get him again. Once Rome Odunze has another 100-yard game or a 2-touchdown game, you will not be able to get him at wide receiver 2 prices. So people right now don't have that confirmation because he's had a stretch of 3 mediocre games. I think this is the perfect time to strike for Rome Odunze, who's already had his bye. That is the perfect kind of player I would go get. So I know you traded a lot here to go get him, but if I had a chance to go get him at back end wide receiver 2 prices or wide receiver 3 prices, like closer to draft day prices than first 3 weeks of the season prices, I'm absolutely going to go get Rome Odunze if I can right now. Treat him, in my opinion, I would treat Rome Odunze as like a top 15 guy moving forward. Hawk or Ertz and Mason for a receiver. What are we thinking? Pearsall? No, I think that's too low. I'll go aim a little higher. Give me some other names. Pearsall, give me some other names. I think you aim a little bit higher. Try Rome, shit. You ain't getting that for not for Rome. Charbonnet K9 situation gonna kill me, but I have no choice to start Sharp. I'm not mad at that. BTJ and Marv are the reason I'm 2-5 or 0-7. It's rough. No one wants to trade either. I'm fried. I don't think that. I don't think they're the reason. You probably have other players who have been bad. It's just sometimes you have bad seasons too. 0-7 is crazy. 0-7 is tough, and you really don't have a lot of room for error. You got to reel off 7 straight wins. So I get it. 2 players, especially if you invested a first-round pick in BTJ, it's tough, man. I have a league where I've done that, and trying to make up the difference right now for it's tough. I have leagues where I drafted Marv, and I drafted Marv pretty fucking confidently in a bad way in the 2nd and 3rd rounds in a lot of leagues that I was in. So back into the 2nd, top of the 3rd, I was all over taking Marv, thinking he would make the jump, thinking Brian Thomas had the upside the back end of the 1st round. It just happens. So hopefully you're able to find some value later in your draft, because I think that's probably where you actually lost, more so than at the top of your draft. There's been a lot of misses at the top of your drafts outside of like Puka, Jason, Jamar Chase, Bijan, Gibbs. Like, there has been some other misses at the top, some injuries at the top. So if you took Brock Bowers in the 2nd instead of Marv, you'd be probably feeling the same way. If you took Tyreek Hill in the 3rd round instead of Marv, you'd be feeling the same way. Terry McLaurin is a dud. Mike Evans is done. Like, there's a lot of picks. You could have went the youth movement, went Amarion Hampton, went Trevion Henderson. Like, there's a lot of just duds in this season. So don't say 2 players are the reason why. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not trying to be a dick about it. It's just you have to finish your draft. And that's why it's so important sometimes when everybody likes to have a full lineup. That's why I think depth is so important in drafting players that can help you, even if you have a starting lineup. Like, you don't have to have the best tight end and best receivers and best running back and quarterback, because we go through the season and there's pickups. I think there's going to be times when you need receivers that can step up over BTJ and Marvin. It's nice to have those guys. I don't know what your situation looks like. And, El Gran Santo, like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to fry you. You good people. So your team ain't fried. I think 2-5, you still have a chance. You just need to reel off 2 wins in a row. 2 wins in a row, you'll feel much better about your team. And then the 0-7 team, just start with 1 win this week. That's the mental, and it sucks because you might even have the points against thing, Like that's one thing too. Like there's a lot of teams out there that are 2-5 and they're like, man, I got the most points scored for me. Like I've scored more points than a lot of the teams that have 4 wins. And it's like, that's part of fantasy football, man, because you got to have a balanced team. You want to be able to put up consistent points. You don't want to be a team that puts up 200 one week and then, 110 the next week. That's a tough team to build around. So I don't know. I get that question a lot too. Like, what do you think about the points against thing? And I see people say they play league median, which is fine. Like you could rock with league median. I just think it kind of takes out some of the nature of like fantasy football, a game that I think a lot of people think is all luck. I think that there is a luck aspect that needs to still be there. Like, especially if you play PPR, I think PPR kind of balances things out luck-wise, right? Like if you play standard, I think the luck factor goes up. I think if you play PPR, it brings a little bit more skill in there. If you play 8-man league, I think the luck factor goes up. Or even if it's a 16-team league, like the luck factor goes up. In a 10-team league or like super flex league, or you add a little bit extra flex, like you can make it to where the luck factor isn't there. But then when you talk about like points scored, it's like you got to be able to beat your team. And I think that's the parity I like personally, is when you can go up against a team and you're like, I got to beat you one-on-one. I don't care what anybody else scores. I got to beat you in order to win my league. Like I have to win on a week-to-week basis. And I kind of like that luck factor, so to speak, more than like people say that fantasy football is luck. I think that that's the part of fantasy that I think is the luck factor that I like. I think there's luck in the fantasy playoffs. I think to get to the fantasy playoffs, it takes a more skilled player to do so, because you got to have the mental to stick through the season. You got to be able to know what pickups to make. You got to be able to know what trades to make. All right, couple more here, man. Couple more here. Bucks defense or Bills defense this week. Jeff Rogers, don't mean to disappoint you, but I'll do defenses, bro. Just being honest. Well, Bills got Carolina with Andy Dalton. Who the Bucks got? I don't even know who the Bucks got this week. Thursday, I might have a better answer for you. I can't remember who the Bucks play this week. Is Kamani beat all the flex rest of the season? I think as long as Hampton's out, yeah. Thanks for answering questions, Jay. You to go. Appreciate you. I'm going to get to all the member stuff here real quick. Should I trade BTJ for Kittle? I'd rather have BTJ, but if you get Kittle, it's not the end. I feel like it's a clean swap. I'd rather have BTJ for the upside. What up, Jayhan? My bad, may have missed it. Do I need a receiver next week? What do you like about Leggett? I think Leggett, as a former first-round pick, a guy that's seen a little bit more volume, kind of working into his second year, this team was really excited about Leggett this offseason, and we just didn't see it the first couple of weeks, and then he was hurt, banged up, and didn't play. So I think he's earned a little bit bigger workload, especially with Andy Dalton, who was force-feeding him in the fourth quarter of the game this weekend. Yeah, I think Xavier Leggett has a lot of upside as far as flex value-wise, especially during this bye-apocalypse. Frankie said 3-4. You have Fields at quarterback, Barkley, Kamara, Brees. Okay, decent at running back. Adams, Diggs, Keenan. Just lost Evans for the season. Tight end, you got Kelsey. Any advice? I think you're going to need a new quarterback for sure. And you got Brian Thomas too. You're going to need a new quarterback, Frankie. So that's first thing is go get a new quarterback. And I think everything else will work itself out. You have a good team. I think you're just 3-4. I think this is a good team. You probably had some inconsistencies with Barkley. Hasn't played well. Kamara hasn't played well. Brees has been up and down. ETN's been up and down. Adams kind of just stepped into a bigger role. Fields has been up and down. So I think your timing hasn't been good for you. And then just losing Evans is hurt. But I like your team. Godwin thoughts. I think we're going to see him after week 9. Probably a slower start on his way back. I don't know if he's a buy low guy, but they're going to need him. They are absolutely going to need him. Almost lost with that team too. Won by 1 point. Sheesh. If I lost with JT, Bijan, Devontae, Olave going off, I was going to retire. I lost with Gibbs, Bijan, and Drake May. I lost by 70 points. Crazy, bro. Crazy. I had DK had 8 points. I had Mike Evans with a 0, George Kittle with a 0. Yeah, and I had Bijan and Gibbs. I had made some deals. I had Bijan and Gibbs with Drake May, and I lost. Crazy. Rob, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. I don't know if you asked the question. Hopefully, I got to your question. If you asked it, I'll see if I can get to your question. What's good, sir? Glad to see you made it to your next stop. Yes, Matt, appreciate you. Yeah, with the fam, it's tough too, bro. Like going through stop to stop and traveling with all our shit, man. So I'm glad I made it too. Appreciate you tapping in, bro. Shout out to the Discord where you've been missing. Discord has picked it up with numerous guys helping out. You know, I love the Discord, man. I love the community we built, man, over the last 4 or 5 years, bro. This has been y'all. It's y'all put in work, man. And even if it's not the same advice that I give out, it's like just being helpful. And like I've been in Discords before where there's like a lot of trolls and there's like a lot of people who, you know, want to see the world burn and like want to complain and everything, but like, you know, I see you guys in there holding it down and answering questions and, you know, giving each other advice and like being helpful. So appreciate y'all, bro. Appreciate you guys. I got to rewind it. I missed it. It's all good, bro. All good. Tap in where you can, man. Tap in where and when you can. Travis Hunter was dropped. How much FAAB do I spend? At this point of the year, depends on your need. Like if I needed a receiver 3, I would be willing to spend like 20, 30%. Probably 20, 30% of what I had left, at least. Like, just depends on your budget. I think FAAB is one of those things, there's no guide to it, and it's tough because I can't be like, go spend $17 on Travis Hunter. I don't know who has budget left because if there's a lot of teams with zero budget left, like, I'm only spending $1. But if there's everybody kind of is waiting for pickups like this and nobody spent, maybe I'll spend 12, maybe I'll spend 24. Or rule of thumb, when I pick players up, I'm normally spending somewhere like a $12 bid or a $17 bid if I really like them. Like that's a rule of thumb for me. I do 12 because a lot of people do 10 or 11. I do 17 because a lot of people do 15 or 16. And then once it gets to like over 20, a lot of times it needs to be a player that I truly, truly, truly need. So if you need Travis Hunter, I think you can bid a little bit more, but that's typically, I find like 12 and 17 tend to win a lot of bids. Let's not forget that in the front half of the season, Jerry Jeudy was barely rosterable, yes, last year. And then in the second half, he finishes a top 20 guy. You're right about that. Brian Thomas was kind of mediocre to start the year last year. Nico Collins last year was the red hot. He was the Puka Nacua of last season and then fell off in the second half after his injury. And then even when he came back and was healthy. So, yeah, we got a lot of season left. Trade Garrett Wilson for May and Pearsall. Yeah, I don't know about that. It depends on how badly I need a quarterback. If I truly need a quarterback, I think Drake May is a top 10 guy the rest of the way. Rob said, what's good, Jay Hen? I'm 7-0. Okay, I got yours. I wanted to make sure I got yours, Rob. Appreciate you. 7-0. Need some RB help. How do you need RB help? You're 7-0. You got Taylor and JK. Was thinking Woody Marks from Mason. Thoughts? I don't know about you. Like Woody Marks? I'm not a big Woody Marks. I don't really see the upside with Woody Marks. I get at some point they're probably going to pivot to him, but I don't really see the big upside with the Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks was just like kind of a pipe dream. There's nobody left here on this team, and we want him to be good. But this offensive line is trash. The offense is trash itself. I don't know. I'm not really in on Woody Marks like that. I would probably rather just have Jordan Mason, who I think could be good in a complementary role. Pittman and Vidal, Charbonnet for Odunze. Yeah, I get that. Even though Pittman's a top 10 guy right now, I think that's a lot to give up. On the surface, I just wanted to say yes. Like my first initial thought was just yes. But Pittman has been I want to say he's been a top 10 receiver so far this year. So Michael Pittman, kind of a unheralded player. Like I talked a lot about Michael Pittman this offseason and why I thought he was going outside of the top 40 receivers. And there's people who said Josh Downs is better than Michael Pittman. And it's like, you know, I think there was a lot, like Josh Downs is a good football player. I'm not saying that, but like there was a lot of disrespect to Michael Pittman, a guy who's been a top 15 receiver the entirety of his career outside of last year when he was going through a serious back injury. So it was kind of disappointing to see like people talk down on Michael Pittman, how they were ready to just pass the torch. I'm like, no, Pittman's a good football player himself. So it's good to see him bounce back this year and be the player that we all knew he could be. And, you know, when you're going and looking at trades and you're talking about like a Romo Dunze or Michael Pittman, like that's a blessing to have that conversation because Michael Pittman is up there. He's a top 15 guy. I think Odunze is a top 15-ish type guy as well. Pittman's a top 15-ish type guy, and we need to treat him that way. So if you have Michael Pittman, value him. Like, he may not be the big 200-yard guy and the 3-touchdown guy, but like, value Michael Pittman. So even myself, like, I was kind of like, dang, like I would. I had to like kind of reel it back. Pittman's more valuable than we think he is, and even more so now, he is a top 15-ish type play the rest of the season. So value him in that realm. Vidal or Charbonnet? I'd rather have Vidal rest of the season. No, I'll respect your hand. Just like you, I drafted BTJ and Marvel confidence, and they've been the ones that let me down with Waddle, Olave, and Pittman as depth. Yeah, it is what it is, man. You know, sometimes you draft players and shit just don't work out, bro. Don't work out. Most of the time we do good here, but I would say there's, you know, sometimes you can make it up. And I would say, even though what you were 2-5, like 2-5 is not out of it. I have teams that are 2-5. I feel confident. Finnegan had a team that was 2-5. I feel confident still. If you have a good team, 2-5, you can make it. You can make it. So teams in my league who do trade seem to all have solid tight ends. The one team that does trade and doesn't have a solid tight end, wide receivers are Nico, Worthy, Pearsall, JMO, Booty, Mason, or Hawk. If you can pull Nico away, I could do it. I get why you said Pearsall now. Kittle's back. I don't know. I don't really. You can get Pearsall. I don't think I would do it for JMO, unfortunately. Wouldn't do it for Kayshawn Booty. I don't know if I'd do it for Worthy. Probably Worthy. I would do it for Worthy or Pearsall. If you can get Nico out of that, though, that'd be ideal. Maybe throw another piece in there for Nico. AJ and Dobbins for HN. That's heavy for HN, but that's the price you got to play for him. You got to pay for him. So I don't know that I would do that. I'd probably just keep Dobbins and AJ. Not mad if you do, though, if you got enough depth. First place in the 2025 Fantasy Streets League. Just give me the trophy already. My team is ridiculous. Oh, God, I got to go take a look at it. I ain't going to lie. If you claiming it like that, your team must be dirty. That Fantasy Streets League, man, I got to talk to Quan. I got to get him back on the show. Now that I'm a little settled, I got to get him back, and I got to get Tyler back. I got a lot of catching up to do with some of these other creators that I've been talking with over these seasons, but over the offseason. But, yeah, that league pissed me off because I drafted like Ayuk and somebody else. Because we thought we were going to have 2 IR spots, and we didn't. So I've been rocking with a thin bench all year. It pissed me off that he opened that shit up later in the year. You never do that. Like, Quan, I got to talk to you, Quan. If you're watching this shit, I got to talk to you, bro. But, yeah, you don't change the rules mid-season. I was like, bro, it's week 5 or week 6, and we add in IR spots in week 5 and week 6 after I've been sitting with this lineup of 2 guys on IR for first 4 weeks of the year. You don't do that. I don't like doing that. That's a big no-no for J-Hen. Fields my quarterback. You got Purdy, though. If you could be able to get Rome for Mason and Wandale, send it. Worst case scenario, they say no. Worst case, they say no. All right, y'all. Hey, I'm about to get out of here. I got a busy day tomorrow. I'll give you guys some updates. Hopefully I can get on Thursday. That's going to be my goal, to get here on Thursday. No promises. Want to try to get on Thursday for you guys. So if you guys got other questions for me, let me know in the chat. But other than that, I will see y'all on the next one. Peace out. Good night.